Hey everyone, it's Julian, and today Set 2 has finally released. We had a very fun stream last night where we did a full card review, and we opened some packs, and we played some games. It was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this new set so far, and today we're going to be doing Day 1 deck lists. Of course, they're Day 1, so these are not going to be the greatest decks of all time. These are just sort of my initial ideas for all of the classes, and hopefully they can give you a jumping off point to build your own decks with these new cards, right? So we're going to get into it here, but before we do, I just want to say if you're liking the videos and liking the content and liking Shadowverse in general, this is one of the best places to get content and get news for Shadowverse Worlds Beyond. So if you're liking this stuff, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And of course, if you're watching this the day of release, we are going to be streaming around 9 p.m. PST. That's in about 4 hours from recording, and we're going to be playing some of these decks and some new Set 2 gameplay. So really excited for that. But let's get into the Day 1 deck. So of course we have to start with Forest. I'm really excited for Forest. I unfortunately was not able to pull a lot of these newer cards, so I'm probably going to have to hold off on trying a deck like this initially, but of course this is mid-range Forest, and we're playing some of these new cards like the Fairy Fencer, one of the better low rarity Forest cards. Right now it's the 2-drop 2/2, and then on play it's going to give you a Fairy, and then activates in hand whenever an allied follower super evolves. You set the card, this cost the cost of this card, geez, to 1, right? So really cool. I really like this. It's just a fighter on curve that gives you a resource, and then later on, it's kind of a combo piece, right? So really like Fairy Fencer, and of course we have the new Gardens or Lure, the really nice card draw. Cynthia, which is sort of this new age, maybe even a little better Zirconia for Forest. And then Titania, which I have at 2. I know a lot of people are down on Titania, but I just kind of want to try her, and I think she's kind of interesting, giving you a fairy every turn, and of course she is removal on the turn she comes down. And then, yeah, the rest of this old Set 1 stuff, so we're playing more Arias because we really want our fairies to have Storm, and Erin, who finally kind of has a place here where she's just this really big removal that heals you a little bit too. This slot, I'm playing 2 Erins. This could be Lamaga. I do think Lamaga is a pretty interesting card, thinking about it more. She's basically kind of 4 to 5 uninteractable damage if you set it up correctly. And could have a place in this sort of mid-range deck, right? And of course we're playing Bale because Bale is really good, and we're going to be playing a lot of fairies and stuff. And then the one of Rose Queen for the end game. The one interesting thing is the Amataz here. I put 2 Amataz in here, but I was thinking about if you wanted to, you could replace Amataz with Roach. And just be kind of like a hybrid mid-range Forest / Roach deck, which could be pretty good. But yeah, I think Forest overall is like, it seems fun. I'm excited to try it, but I do think it's going to get stopped by popular decks like Wardhaven and stuff like that, and I do think Roach will probably end up being the go-to, but Roach doesn't, like, you just put in the new spell, and that's pretty much it. Maybe a Lamaga, and that's pretty much it for Roach. But yeah, this is Forest. So, yeah, if you guys are excited for Forest, let me know. And if I missed any sort of cards in here or any interesting builds you guys have for Forest, let me know in the comments. And that goes for all of the decks and all the classes we're talking about today. So, next we have my favorite class, Sword. And Sword is going to basically play fairly similar to last expansion. Last set, it kind of leaned into almost like a control Sword, outside of that Kagemitsu build that popped up later on. But there was, Sword does kind of have a lot of control tools, which is kind of interesting. But a lot of these newer cards are just generically very strong. So, of course, we have all of our 2-drops still, and then we have Prim, Princess's Picnic. She's a 2-drop that gives you another 2-drop to play in hand, and I've been playing against a lot of Swords, and this card feels nuts playing against it, because this card is also an officer. So if you set up the Luminous Lance Trooper, right, you're going to be able to get the 3/3 Bane rush. The 3/3 Bane ward, it's going to get rush, right? So it can clear up a lot of boards. And then just in general, it's just like it's a really nice turn 2 play, and then it's a really nice play every turn after that, because it's just a 4 play point play that's split up between 2 bodies, which you want in Sword, because you want to get that rally count up now that we have Gildaria. So I really, really like this card. I think this card's very strong. And no matter what build, you're probably just going to throw this in there, because it's just a really nice, almost like Liad, but a little less ambush focus. It's just like this 2-drop, and then on play gives you another thing. Liad, you had to evolve to get that other thing, but yeah. Then we have Grimnir. Grimnir is just really strong in Sword because it has extra ways to super evolve, and it's a really nice on-curve 3-drop. 3-drop was kind of a slightly weak turn for Sword. We have a lot of good 3-drops, but not a lot of really good on-play, on-curve 3-drops. Like, we have Valse, which is a nice thing to answer their board, but of course it's a 2-1. And then we had Lorala, which is nice board fill. And then we had the Dog, which, in my opinion, was fairly weak. But now we have this 3-drop that is Ward that helps us against some of the aggro decks. And then, or more aggressive decks, I should say. And then it gives us this crest that we can use later on, which is pretty interesting. Of course, this is the crest that whenever there's a super evolved ally on the field, you deal 2 damage AoE. I've already, a couple times have forgotten that effect, is active, right? But it's just going to take some, time to remember that this is a card. This is, an effect that's active. But yeah, this is a really good card. I really like this in this deck. And then we have all the, the usual suspect, Valse, Zirconia, Luminous Mage, Albert, Amelia. And then another new card here, Gildaria, Anathema of Peace. This card is just like a tank. It does so much. It's going to be a 6-drop 4/4. And then whenever you evolve it, you summon 2 Steelclad Knights and they gain Rush. And then on her card, it's whenever another allied follower enters the field, you deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. So this is going to be able to clear a lot of boards. And then, of course, she has the Fanfare Rally 20, and she auto super evolves, which is really huge. And yeah, this is going to go in almost every Sword deck. You can actually get to Rally 20 pretty quick. It won't be on curve, but it will be basically the second Gildaria you play will have super evolve, or the second Gildaria and after. And you can definitely make plays where you play cards beforehand, or before you play this, so that you just get basically a free Super Evo, because she does do, things that are similar to other cards. Like, she is similar to, like, a Geno, right? But, of course, this card is, like, a little better after Geno because she needs a Super Evolve and Geno does not, right? Or she needs an Evolve, at least, right? But, yeah, really like Gildaria. I really like her design, too. She's, like, a snow leopard, maybe even, like, a palace cat type thing. So, yeah, I really like Gildaria. And then the last new card we have is the Urias 11 Authority. We only have this at 1. But this just shuts down so many different types of decks. But it's not amazing into boards, right? But against a certain decks, it's going to be really nice. And I think this helps sort of the matchup spread for Sword, right? And yeah, so I really like Urias. But yeah, that is Sword. Not a ton of new cards. There's a lot of other new stuff as well that you can play, like the Gunner Maid Saria, the new 3-drop Rose, and then the new 2-drop removal spell. The unfortunate thing about the 2-drop removal spell is in my card review, when I read it, I thought that it would work where you could hit 2 things at once. And really, the way it's worded, I feel like it should be able to do that. But unfortunately, it doesn't. So I do think that card is weaker than I thought. But yeah, unfortunate. I really wanted that card to be good, like, removal spell. And I think it should have been like that. I think they should have been able to just do 4 damage 3 times to stuff. Because I think spells in Sword have to be really good to be played. So yeah, kind of unfortunate about that, but did want to just mention that. So that's Sword. Next we have Spell Boost Rune. This is just, Spell Boost Rune with a lot of the newer stuff. So we're playing the Owen, who is the really nice 3-drop that's going to Spell Boost. And then on Evolve, he's going to draw you 2 cards. Really good for holding off aggro, right? And then we're playing the Witch's New Brew, which a lot of the lists were playing beforehand. And then the other new cards, we have the Norman, of course, Norman. One of the best cards in the expansion, or in the set right now. 6-drop 5/5, and then you just get to do a plethora of things. Of course, you have to set up the one of the Earthright sigils first, but it's not too hard because you have this, and then you also have the Sage Light teachings. But there's just so much you can do with Norman. It opens up so many plays that it's really hard to not want to play him. And that's like pretty much it for the new cards. I will say I saw a build with the new Burgent, the Onion Mage. She's a really cool card. I really like her, and it would be cool if she was actually like good. I think she's kind of interesting. She does give you a 1/1 rush that spell boosts every turn, which is pretty cool. She could be like a 4th or 5th copy of Anne and Greya in some matchups where you don't need to sort of like clear this giant board. You can just like clear one big thing, and then you get some onions. So I really like Burgeon, but I don't have it in this build, but definitely would give it a shot to try. But, it's Spell Boost. Spell Boost is going to be one of the best decks. They got, support, so yeah, a lot of decks just kind of fold to the Kakai's D shift. It's really hard to beat that. It's kind of just like an inevitability thing, right? So, yeah, that is Spell Boost Rune. Next we have Fenny Dragon. I know I had to put this out there, right? I know, everyone's like, oh, Fenny. I pulled it. That was my second legendary. We threw it together on stream. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, so this is Fenny Dragon. This is like full Fenny Dragon. This is like, we're playing the 6-drop AoE, we're playing the 3 Fennies, and we're playing, 3 Genesis Dragons, and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, if you like these, these type of cards, then go for it. But let's go into some of the cards. So one of the big gets for Dragon in general was this card, the 2-drop 2/2 Intent Dragonute Princess. If there's a super allied follower on your field, draw 2 cards. One of Dragon's issue was card draw, so this is a really nice late game card draw. And even for aggro, right, you can see a world where you play Storm, super evolve it, and then play this to draw 2 more cards. And of course, it's a fighter, so it's just like a nice statted thing early in the game. So really like Intent Dragonute Princess. Feline, we've talked about Feline a lot, just Dragon card that does like a lot of stuff for you, including removal and interruption for your opponent. Call of the Megala Orca, basically a 2-drop 2/2 rush, and then later on you can draw more Call the Megala Orcas, which is pretty interesting to kind of thin your deck a little bit, right? But of course, after Fenny, all the Call the Megala Orcas will be 1 cost. Whoa! And of course, it goes well with Neptune, one of the other new cards, who is a 7-drop 5/5, summon 2 Megalorcas, and then you gain a Crest, which is whenever a Marine follower enters the field, restore 1 defense to your leader. Marine followers are these token Megalorcas and the Odahime's Bodyguard, which is pretty interesting. And then on Super Evolve, she's going to summon 2 more, and she's a ward. So really, really big stats, and just does a lot of things. You get a lot of rush, and you're going to be able to remove a lot of boards. And of course, you heal, and then you just get this big value turn before your huge, tempo loss in Fenny the next turn, right? And then the other new card is Draconic Strike. 6-drop, deal 3 damage to all enemy followers, and then you reduce a card in your hand by 2. You're probably going to want to reduce Fenny, right? Because you can go Fenny. I guess you don't have any 1-drops though, right? I guess like on 6 you can go Fenny, play this reduce Fenny, and then next turn you have Fenny for 6. But you don't really have a 1-drop to like combo that with, so you could also reduce some other things or whatever, So, but you could wait till 8 to play Fenny and go Fenny, Super Evo, Intent Dragonute Princess or something like that. But yeah, this just gets Fenny down a turn earlier, I guess. And then we have Fenny, of course, the 8-drop, reduce or half the cost of all cards in your deck. Yeah, it's Fenny. I'm not sold at all, but I am perfectly willing to be wrong, right? So yeah, show me, guys. Show me what Fenny can do. That's Dragon. Next, we have a really fun one, Control Abyss. This is the deck I think I'm the most excited for. We were playing it a lot on stream. There's a lot of interesting things here in this deck. I'm going to kind of go into my thoughts on it right now. And this is sort of a build that I was playing, or I have not played yet, but we were talking about on stream that I would play if I had these cards. I'm missing the Odin and the Sharon. But yeah, let's get into it. So, Control Abyss got a couple new cards. So we got Hidekar and Jafner, a new 2-drop with Enhance 5 of all this follower, and then Last Words, deal 4 damage to a random enemy follower if this card is evolved. Really nice card with Olivia, right? Because it's a 2-drop that gets an effect after it super evolves, right? And then also every turn after 5, this is just removal. And I really like this with Fildau because it's basically 6 2-drops that you can play on your first evolution turn to remove things, right? And another thing I really like is both of those cards can be revived from Sharon. And Sharon is typically sometimes like a tempo loss, right? Because she's not able to answer the board. But if all of your 2-drops are these type of cards, Fildau or Hidekar, you're able to evolve one of them and remove a lot of the board and basically get this, tempo back and have this 4/4 and then this 2/2 and hopefully a 1/1 from the skeleton or something, right, with Ward. So I really like having this like small pool of 2-drops. Of course, we have Orthros. Orthros is amazing and goes into that same game plan because you can Evo and deal 4 damage, right? But these 9 2-drops are really strong to be res from Sharon. Then we have a new, really interesting card. I really like this card. Ghostly Soiree. This is a 2-drop spell. Adds a ghost, skeleton, and rotting zombie to your hand. So the rotting zombie is a new token. It's a 3-drop 2/2 last words. Summon a rotting zombie without last words onto the field. So there's basically a 2/2 that when it dies, you summon another 2/2. Really nice. I love this card because you can kind of think of it as 2-drop 1/1 because the skeleton is 0 cost, right? It's a 2-drop 1/1. And then you get a play immediately next turn that you don't have to draw into, right? With the Rotting Zombie. And then you get to hold this ghost for later on for some combos we'll talk about here in a second with another really fun new card. But this card really helps you because one of Abyss's issues is it has card draw, but a lot of it is bad or hits yourself, right? Because we have the Soul Predation, which is just a really bad card, in my opinion. And then we have Olivia, which comes out later, right? And then we have the Dark Fiend Demon. What is his name? I always forget his name, but the 5-drop 4/4 that is blood packed on a body where it deals 2 to you and then you draw 2 cards and auto evolve it deals 6, right? The issue with him is taking 2 damage is like kind of rough in a lot of matchups. And you'd rather like play like your Sharon or something, right? And not hit yourself. So but a lot of it, the lower cost draw is pretty bad, right? So this card is not necessarily draw, but it gives you a lot of resources, like a ton of resources in hand, so that makes up for not having a ton of early game draw, right? I think that's a key thing to this deck is you have a lot of late game and you want to play a lot of late game because you don't have a ton of early game draw. So you really need to like raw draw into all of your late game. That's why we're playing so much late game. But then we can make up for these for that with these cards early game that give us a ton of resources in hand, like the Ghastly Soiree. So really, really like this card. And yeah, so next card is Grimnir. Grimnir, of course, is just like we talked about with Sword, an on-curve 3-drop, and then later on in the game, we're going to be able to really clear a lot of boards. This helps in this deck a lot, and yeah. Then we get on to one of the coolest new cards, in my opinion, that we got, Vuela the Blast Wing. It's funny and not to like, when new cards come out, people have bad opinions. I probably have horrendous opinions on my card review. I'm going to look back in a month and a half and be like, wow, I was an idiot, right? But there was someone that said, like, right when this card came out, that this is the worst card in the game, which I find really funny. But this is a 3-drop 2/4 rush. So let's break that part down first, right? So early game, if you draw this, you are able to answer basically any card on curve. Because going first, you're going to be answering one of their 2-drops, unless they extra play pointed, right? because they could go pass one or play one drop and then coin 3-drop, then you probably won't be able to answer a ton of stuff. But then going second, you're always able to answer whatever they're saying because you can extra play point this out and clear one of their 2-drops, right? Or 1-drop. So early on, this is really nice board clear, and it's a really high stat. 2-4 basically makes it so that you're going to be 2 for 1 because they're going to have to swing something in to kill this. And most of the time, you're not going to be swinging this in and then it dies, right? Early on. So that's the early game. That's it on curve, right? So really nice card on curve, especially for a control deck like this. Then later in the game, it has this other effect. Whenever another allied follower super evolves, give it and this follower +2 attack. So I want to break this effect down and all of the combos you can kind of do with this card. So the immediate thing is the Ghastly Soiree, of course, gives us a ghost. And the Shadow Crypt, of course, gives us a ghost, which is an old card that everyone should know now. And basically, what you could do is you could play a ghost or summon a ghost, and then play Vuela for 3, and then you Super Evo the ghost, so it goes to a 4/4, and then it gains +2 attack, so it goes to 6 attack, and then Vuela becomes a 4/4 rush, so it can swing over a ward, and then you can go 6 face. So I love that kind of stuff that you can do. It really helps with some of these matchups that I do think are pretty bad. Like, I do think Rune is still pretty bad because you are a control deck, and Rune just has the best, value card in the game, or value combo in the game with Cocytus Super Eva, or sorry, Cocytus D-Shift, right? And you just can't ever really beat Cocytus D-Shift. But what you could theoretically do is try to aggro them out and try to rush and storm them down before they can get to that. And of course, as we know before, in set 1, Abyss has a lot of burst damage, right? So adding cards like this that give even more out-of-hand burst damage, that's kind of unpredictable as well, is really nice. And then, of course, you can combo it with some of your later cards, right? With, like, the Odin. Even if something like a Medusa lives. Most of the time, if Medusa lives, you win the game anyway, right? But there's just so much stuff where if anything lives or you get anything with Storm, you're going to be able to add so much damage. And on top of that, add some removal for some of their board if you do this. So I really, really like this card. I think this is one of my favorite cards of the new expansion so far. And I think it really helps Abyss. Next new card is the Sharon. We kind of talked about this a little bit, but Sharon, 5-drop, 4/4, reanimate a 2-drop and a 1-drop. And of course, when things get reanimated, they become departed. So they will get the ward effect from this other line of text. Whenever an allied departed follower enters the field, give it ward. And then Super Evolve, gain Crest Sharon. And then the crest is countdown 2. At the start of your turn, reanimate 3. So the 2 3-drops we have, right, are the 3 3-drops technically we have access to is the Vuela, the Grimnir, and then the Rotting Zombie. Any of those are pretty good to get back. Of course, one of the better ones would be the Vuela, because then we can really set up some crazy combos with like an Odin or any more of our like Storm things. Just getting a free Vuela on the field is really nice. But of course, getting a Grimnir is fine too. And getting like anything free basically is nice here too, right? But really this is kind of going back to that Soiree discussion, right? Where this is a card that's going to give you a ton of value on the board without drawing cards. Because, like we talked about, the card draw in Abyss is really weak or has really big downsides. So this is just a card that's like a card that summons 3 cards, right? And then, of course, on Super Evolve, it's going to summon a 4th thing that's really good. And I just like these type of cards in this deck where you just fill the deck up with a lot of endgame, and then you fill the early game up with a lot of these high-value resource, cards that give you more resources and stuff. So, really like Sharon. It's a 2-of, though, because I don't think it's, like, amazing. And in some matchups, you probably don't have enough time to just play this down and feel okay. But again, like we talked about, the 2-drops that we have here are really good to res because they all have really nice Evo effects. And of course, the downside with Sharon is you have to Super Evo to get the crest. So yeah. Then we have Olivia. And then Odin, new legendary. 7-drop, 4/2, Storm, Fanfare. It's like that card on the field. It's like the enemy card on the field and banish it. So like we talked about, you can kind of combo this with the Vuela, right? If you res it from Sharon. But even on like turn 10, if you like save it Super Evo, it's like, maybe something like that. It's 9 storm damage if you are able to somehow get the Vuela, active on the Odin, right? But other than that, this is just like a removal plus storm. And again, like we talked about, one of our bad matchups is stuff like Rune and other decks that just have this like game plan where it just will end the game if it gets to the end or gets too late, like Roach as well is kind of like that too. So just being able to speed the game up a little bit is really nice, but also the fact that this is a removal on a body is really good too. So Odin, really nice. And then the last card, of course, is we have the Gensetsu and Yuzuki Twin Calamities. This is the card that's going to lock the game up for a lot of these mid-range decks. A lot of these Wardhaven Sword type of decks are just going to fold once you get to turn 9, but of course the key is getting to turn 9, right? If you're able to get to turn 9 and play this, you probably just win the game. It's really hard to remove. It's a 9 health thing, and it completely clears the board. And then, of course, if they like don't have a board, or you're in sort of this like, not necessarily top deck war, but you're in this like low hand size, just like playing things out, you can play the first effect to get 4 copies of the One-Tailed Fox, which is really nice. And then, sorry, my nose is like messing up right now. And then, yeah, but most of the time you're going to be playing this for the second effect. But yeah, I really liked Yuzuki and Gensetsu. Really nice late game. This is sort of the game closer in a way where it's like, hey, all right, here's my just insane high value card that you cannot deal with, and you basically can't come back because I heal 4 and your entire board's gone, and I have a 5/9 now. So also, again, like we kind of talked about, like having a lot of these storm things like the Odin, and of course like the Shadow Crypt and the Ghastly Array helps us with like later in the game, it's like, oh, Gensetsu lived. Okay, here's like 4 or 5 damage out of hand to really close the game up, and not necessarily need like a second Gensetsu, right? Gensetsu Yuzuki. So really like this card. But yeah, that is Control Abyss. This is one of the decks that I will be playing a lot this expansion. Really like the feeling of it. Really reminds me of some of those old Control Blood decks. And yeah, really fun. So next we have Haven. This is Wardhaven. This is pretty close to a list I saw on Twitter that is kind of interesting because it's playing a really low amount of these ward cards. And one of the things I found out yesterday, which doesn't necessarily change my opinion of the card, but Aether, so the way I thought Aether worked was it checks like, okay, 3 drops, and then 2 drops, and then 1 drops. But actually what it is it just all of the 3 and belows are in one pool, and it randomly grabs 3 different cards from that pool. So it's not like Reanimate where it goes, check 3, okay, there's, are there 3, 3 drops that we can get? Okay, get those 3 drops. Or if there's only 2 3 drops, we only get, 2 3 drops, or 2 drop or whatever, right? It's just all of the 2 and 3 drops and 1 drops are in a pool, and then it picks from those 3 randomly. So I think that that lends itself to more of like a very small pool of 2 and 3 drops, because there are a lot of just bad, like the 3 drop 2/4 is like not very good, or the 3 drop 2/4 ward is not very good, and then the Shield Maiden is like so this is a build that is playing only 3 like grabbable cards from Aether, and they're all also good cards on their own, which I think is really important. So we have the Sharetta, the 2 drop 2/2, which with ward, and then later on it's going to become a 2/5, an insane card with Olivia. We have the Sarissa, who really benefits if you can get her from Aether and have 2 wards behind her, because she's going to get buffed every time a ward dies, and she's going to just become this giant thing, because if you get her from Aether, she's going to be hiding behind 3 wards, and she can get really giant. Of course, Aether's going to make her a 2/4 with Aura, so really like Sarissa. And then, of course, our Grimnir, who is just, like we talked about, a good on-play card. That's not only good if you get it off Aether, right? Because some of those other cards are like only good if you get them off Aether, like the Shield Maiden and the 3 drop 2/4. So we're playing this like small package. Of course, we're playing the Wilbur just because he's like an insane card, insane high value card. And then of course the Aether, same thing, insane high value card. But then we're playing a lot of the Amulet stuff. So We're playing the Winged Statue, more Storm. We're playing the Serene Sanctuary, the draw card. And then we're playing the Pact of the Beast Princess. This is the 2-drop that summons a 4/4 Tiger with Rush. So it is kind of like a 2-drop, right? Because we're not playing a ton of 2-drops because we don't want our pool of Aether to be too big. And then I threw in here the Darkhaven Grace. I think this is a really nice card to combo with the Sacred Griffin. Sacred Griffin is kind of the only way to win games right now for this deck, unless it's just because most of Wardhaven is like, play Aether board, do they answer it? Yes, okay, I lose the game. Do they not answer it? Okay, I win the game, right? And Sacred Griffin, you kind of need to have some out-of-hand damage, and being able to have, like, establish the Darkhaven Grace early, and just be able to, on 9, play this thing, make it an 8 Storm, swing, and win the game, is pretty nice. Grimnir we already talked about. We'll talk about Agnes in a second. And then we have all the other, like, ward stuff with, like, John. We are playing the Unholy Grail, Unholy Vessel. This is just a really nice Haven card, and you do kind of need it to, if you miss Wilbert, right, to sort of set up like a board for Aether to come down later. Another thing is, it is sort of interesting, like, you can kind of play this, like, value game where they have to, like, play 3 or 4 cards out of their hand to answer your 1-card Aether board. So you can go Holy Vessel, clear their board, and then now you're, like, really far ahead in the resources. So you can kind of almost play like a control deck a little bit. It's a little interesting, this card, but I do like it in practice. When I first thought, I was like, do we want to be playing a card like this in Haven? But I do think it actually ends up being pretty good. And then let's talk about my cope card for the expansion. This is my, like, I'm coping on this card. I think this card is really good. I just want to figure out how to play this card and where to play this card. Agnes the Swiftblade, 5-drop 3/4 Storm. Strike if there's 2 allied amulets on the field. Destroy a random enemy follower other than the opposing one. I feel like this card, especially in, like, a deck like this, where it's Wardhaven, but it's a little more control-y, is so awesome because it's so flexible, right? Because it's storm damage, like we talked about. One of the issues I think Wardhaven has is the fact that you have to, if the Aether board is answered, you just kind of have no way of winning unless you have the Griffin, but even then, it's, like, not amazing. So having more Storm cards is really nice. The fact that we have a good amount of amulets, and one of the amulets, the Darkhaven Grace, that just stays on the field forever, makes this card active more often than not. And then, of course, it's just, you either can go face and kill something, or you can kill 2 things by swinging this into something, and then it kills something else. I really like this card. I am coping on it. Like, it might end up not being as good as I think it is. But it's one of the cards I really want to try. And it makes me kind of interested for Amulet Haven. Because we also got the Colette, who is a really strong card if you have the 2 amulets down. But, of course, she is hurt by the Aether pool, right? The Aether draw pool, because she's a 3-drop, right? So I really like Agnes, but of course you can replace her probably with, like, Odin, I would say, would be the easy replacement. But yeah, we'll have to see about Agnes. So that's Haven. I'm going to probably play a little more of it. I do think it has some weaknesses. It does sort of lose to, like, the better decks in the format, right? Because we still have Artifact and Rune are looking really strong, and I think both of those decks destroy a normal Wardhaven deck, but maybe something like this that leans more control, like control Wardhaven, instead of sort of that mid-range, just like puke the board out type normal Wardhaven, could be better. So we will have to see. Next, we have 2 portal decks. Actually, we're going to talk about Artifact and Puppets, but first we're going to talk about Puppet Portal. Did I say? I think I said that right? We have 2 portal decks. Did I say 2 artifact decks? Anyway, first we have Puppet Portal. Puppet Portal got a lot of nice upgrades. And I'm going to show you this list. I'm going to show you another list on Twitter that I've seen go around that has, like, a similar build. Not to this, but, like, 2 or 3 decks that have similar build styles that I want to talk about. But this is sort of just upgrading the old Puppet list, right? So we're going to have the new 2-drop in the Hinekar, Jafner, and then we're going to add the Grimnir, of course, too. But the main new cards are Zwei, this really nice on 5 basically nuke. You're going to be able to kill anything, and if you really need to kill multiple things, you can Evo the Zwei, and of course Zwei summons the Victoria, which is a 6/1 with Rush, and then Follower Strike, deal X damage to the opposing follower. X is this follower's attack, right? You can really kill basically anything in the game. And then you have like a 3/3 that gives puppets wards. The ward thing kind of comes up sometimes, but it's not like amazing, right? And then, you know, other things, and then we have the Synchronous Hearts, the Heartless Battle, basically reprint kind of. 6-drop summon Lloyd and Victoria, so we just looked at Victoria, and Lloyd, of course, is the 1/6 ward. I like this card a lot. I know some lists are not playing it, but I think it's a pretty interesting card, and it's kind of hard to deal with, because the Lloyd, you know, eating a lot of the spells and abilities is really nice, and hiding the 6/1 behind a 1/6 ward is pretty interesting. And of course, you just have like the nuke that is Victoria. So pretty interesting card. Again, another card that like lets you save Evo points, which is like something you really want to do. But I will say, you're not able to save Evo points as efficiently as I thought you'd be able to, which is a little unfortunate. And I really did think you would be able to really like play all the Liams and Orcuses in the late game, but you really can't. So that is why we're not playing Liam in this build. But the other new card is the Odin Twilight Fate. 7-drop 4/2 ban or something, and then Storm. I think this just goes really well in this type of deck. Your Orcus obviously gives you a lot of storm damage, especially in her own archetype, where you can play more puppets and Noah early on and buff your own puppets in hand and get more storm damage. And then Odin can kind of be a finisher where you go like ban something, evolve, and deal 6 or 7 damage storm. So really like that. But let's real quick talk about this other interesting build that I've seen run around. It's more of like an aggro puppets build. This is Ryu. He's a professional player. He says that he's played 30 games and he's won 29 and lost 9. And the interesting thing you see is the new Goblin, the 1-drop. Let me see if I can bring it up here. The 1-drop 1/1 that the Twin Blade Goblin. 1-drop 1/1, fanfare. If there's a super evolved allied follower on the field, select the enemy follower on the field and deal it 4 damage. So, of course, Goblin just being a 1-drop is really nice and lends to this, like, aggressive deck, or, you know, aggressive leaning deck. Of course, we're playing the Fighter, you know, one of my favorite cards. But then later on, he's not a dead card because you can combo him with some super evolved stuff and be able to really remove a lot of boards for 1 cost. So this is a build I really want to try. I think this is pretty interesting. And I just wanted to show this, and you know, have you guys, maybe give this a try, because this is more like an aggressive puppets deck. And I do think, sort of in the comments, I don't know if it was this one or there's another build that's similar to this, kind of going around that's like, probably like you have to kind of build this, or you have to kind of build it in this way to make it not just like worse artifact, kind of, right? So I definitely kind of agree. I do think puppets is like worse artifact in general right now, but maybe with a build like this kind of gets its own sort of avenue to play this like aggressive portal deck. But yeah, really like this. Then last but definitely not least, we have Artifact Portal. You know, same old, but we got some absurdly strong cards here. One of Artifact's issues was card draw, because obviously it gets a lot of resources in hand in the artifacts and stuff, but it doesn't have any like actual cards in hand. Like sometimes you can go like, oh wow, this guy has 8 cards in hand, but there's only 2 real cards, right? So that is fixed with the Flight of Icarus. 1-drop, select an artifact follower in your hand and give it rush and last words draw a card. Initially, I thought this card was not that strong because I thought it was on the field. I thought it had to be an artifact card on the field. But no, it being in hand is nuts. This is basically going to get you 2 to 3 card draw over the course of the game, which is really nuts, because every time you summon one from either Alouette, Karula, Doomrite Resurgence, or the cannon we were going to talk, or what is it, the catapult we're going to talk about here soon, that effect's going to activate, right? So it's going to get rush, and you're going to draw a card. So really nuts card. This is going to make this deck even more consistent. And yeah, this is really strong card. Another new card is the Carnelia Ember of Darkness, this new 2-drop that gives you a blue. And then on evolve, you're going to select an artifact follower in your hand and give it ward and cannot be destroyed by abilities. So, of course, cannot be destroyed by abilities means it will survive a Doomlight Resurgence or a Catapult, which we will talk about in a second. And, of course, it gets ward. This is a really nice card to combo with the Catapult and also just, like, combo later on where it's, you know, it's a fighter that gives you a thing, so you're just going to play it on curve. And then later on, you can Evo it and make one of your artifacts really strong with Doomlight Resurgence, or even just like with a Ralmia, giving something ward, and it can't be destroyed by effects is actually kind of nice. Obviously, it can be banished by Odin, but it does survive something like a Yuzuki and Gensetsu. That actually came up in one of my games where I was like, oh, here's Gensetsu, Yuzuki, clear the board. And I was like, oh, wait, that's not how that works, right? Also, maybe, this complete side note, but maybe this is, you know, a future for Lashena, because Lashena had a lot of effects of destroying your own things, but they had, like, can't be destroyed by abilities. So kind of interesting. Maybe there's going to be some sort of Lashena artifact synergy there. But I think she might probably be more puppet leaning, of course. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, Carnelia's really nice. Just going to be a fighter on curve, though, most of the time. Then we get to the Catapult. I was pretty down on the Catapult. People were, like, freaking out about it. I was like, when I first read it, I was like, oh, this is nuts. But then I realized you had to pay 3 for the effect. But then thinking about it more and seeing, like, the Icarus and the Carnelia, I actually think this card is really strong. So Artifact Catapult, 2-drop, Amulet, add a red to your hand. Then engage 3, destroy this Amulet, and then summon an artifact from your hand as an exact copy, 5 or less. And then at the end of your turn, your opponent's turn, destroy this card. So if you combo this with Carnelia, you get a 3-drop artifact, right? And then if you combo this with Icarus or whatever, you're going to get the effect and the card draw once it dies eventually, right? So I actually think this has a lot of nice use later on, and I think it lends itself to sort of like an aggro artifact build where you could just keep playing the betas over and over and over and over and getting card draw and getting value that way, and winning the game pretty fast. So then we have, you know, we're adding the Doomlight Resurgence because now it has synergy with the Flight of Icarus and the Carnelia. And then, of course, we have the big boy, Karula Eternal Arts. 6-drop, 5/4, select an artifact follower in your hand, and that costs 5 or less, and summon an exact copy of it. And then on Super Evolve, it's going to be able to attack twice. So, I mean, it's just absurdly strong card. Again, goes really well with the Icarus, because every time you summon a copy, that card's going to get draw. You know, that card's going to draw. So you can really, like, build a first artifact, probably like a beta, maybe the AoE thing, right? And then give it Icarus, and then, like, over the course of the game, you're really going to be able to draw 3 or 4 cards from that, like, one card. It's kind of nuts. But yeah, Karula is just nuts. This is just the 4th, 5th, and 6th copy of Alouette, but you don't need to evolve. So yeah, and then combined with all of the other removal that this deck has, like the Bullet, the Stream of Life, and other stuff, it's just like, this deck just does everything. This deck really does everything, and I think if you really master it, you're going to be able to have an insanely high win rate. This is sort of one of the decks that I'm leaning towards for SVO. SVO, of course, is in 10 days about right now as of filming, and that is going to be the first big tournament, right, for Shadowverse Western gamers, or I guess like English-speaking gamers, right? And we're going to have to figure out the meta fast because it's 2-deck best of 1. So yeah, I think Artifact is a front runner right now for one of the better decks in the format. So, yeah, and then of course we're playing the Orcus and Rami. I mean, that's, you know, that's pretty basic stuff. But yeah, that is the day 1 decks. Let me know what you guys think. Also, if you guys have any cool, you know, different deck builds or whatever you want to share, please let me know in the comments. It would be great if you post the link to this website instead of the code, because codes only last 5 minutes if you really want to share your deck, and maybe I can, you know, play it on stream or talk about it or whatever, you know. And of course, we are going to be starting back up the the deck review and replay breakdown. And we're going to be talking about some of these newer decks that I'm playing. And yeah, we're really going to be kind of kicking into gear before SVO starts here. And yeah, if you guys are interested in competitive content or just Shadowverse in general, this is definitely one of the best channels to be on. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.